right now the official close of this whole like flashback memory sequence. I've enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. The stuff with Victor, I was surprised about. I honestly think him changing his stance on Izmo and Andy is pretty surprising. Like that is the one thing I think that I didn't really expect this early. And one thing is, it's not like he's, oh yeah, we're super buddies now. Like if you had him as like a rep bar, I mean, if anyone's ever played like World of Warcraft, he went from hostile to neutral. I feel like just where he's at. He's not like, hey, I'm gonna help you guys with everything. I'm gonna give Andy all my techniques so we can beat God and whatnot. I feel like it's more just he's like, hey, you guys aren't so bad, kind of like style, because we saw a little bit of his character, like what exactly is his whole personal line with stuff with like Juiz, and back when he was one of the members of the like union of that main group that was fighting God. And I thought that was just generally interesting to get, because he's a very weird character, because the main guy, like I'd seen a similar concept a couple times in a few other series where one character that you know of isn't the original, and then that's part of the like the issue with their character is some form of conflict with the original person of the body, kind of thing. So the generals, like, kind of that style, like the general like basis of that style, I've always liked. And I always thought it was kind of like a really weird, neat thing to do, because then it obviously turns into which one is the real version of this character. Is it the one that he became, or was he who he was originally? It's definitely a pretty fair concept, but I like what he's doing so far with Victor, because he's showing it to us in a way that isn't so far in the background where it's barely a plot line. It has way more relevance. And the further thing that just makes me curious about what he's gonna do with it, what the plan is with Victor's general character right now. Like if they took the metal card out of Andy's head in the next arc and he turned back into Victor, is Victor gonna still be the same guy as before and like attack everybody, or is he gonna just be like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm up, whatever? It's right now. I don't think it would just be like, oh yeah, I can just take the card out and do it anytime. I'm sure that there are instances and variables for just like his general cooperation. Like if he said, hey, I will cooperate, but like, I'll help you beat this guy, but I get to be out of, I get to come out for X amount of time every week. Like Andy has to let me kind of just have the body back and do some stuff. Maybe he just wants to literally walk around and have a body, just do stuff, go to the store. Like Victor's side still has a lot of room to explore, but that's the only thing I can really see right now for his general development, is how can he, like, the next time he's incorporated into the story, what will his reaction be? And because I don't think he would just kind of start like trying to kill everybody like he did before. Like he definitely seems a little bit more, just generally more calm and a little bit more understanding of what was going on. One of the things I believe he viewed is, because everything eventually resets in this world because of God, that he probably doesn't really care too much about the like people's lives, because it's like, oh, I could kill this guy, but he's gonna, eventually he's gonna be reset and reborn, and he'll just be doing a similar thing somewhere out in the world. It's a really weird kind of mindset just to have when you're like a human, because generally when you have such a like loss of care for life, it's like, okay, some like different species, or like a god, or like a dragon or something, or some character who's like transcended, some form of higher being. I guess Victor, you could kind of see aspects of that, because we don't know how old he really is, like how much time he's experienced. Like, is he thousands of years old? Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like, hey, the amount of time I've lived is like 10,000 years or something. But on top of that, it has almost like a. It was almost kind of like if you're playing a video game and it's like, I can kill anybody I want in this save because, eventually it resets. So it's like, what does it really matter? But in this chapter, because we a lot of it was mostly just kind of chatting and finding a little bit about Victor and some good character moments between Andy and Izumo. I did like when talking a little bit of, like, Victor was talking a little bit of shit about Izumo, and like you have the little word bubble, like, arrows stabbing into her. I always liked that meme. I always thought that was a good joke in series when you have like people saying something that'll upset another character, and it's like verbal daggers and, the display of it. That's just one of those things I always like to see every once in a while. Like, obviously not overused, but the stuff with Juiz, I felt like that was kind of predictable. Like, not in a bad way, but like him having some form of closer relationship with her. Because that one was a super strange one that apparently in different lives she wasn't, like, she was slightly different. Like, one of the lives she was a dude. I am curious of what exactly that is going to kind of lead to, because if there's like some kind of small romance plotline between these characters, what is the story going to be? Because is it like they were friends and then suddenly, like, Juiz became a girl, a girl, and he's like, okay, cool, sweet, like this, I guess it's working out for what it was. Or unless Juiz was originally a chick and then eventually became a dude and then, reborn as a chick at some point. I don't really know. The only way I could otherwise think of like, if anyone's read D. Grayman, I won't go into context spoilers, but there are two characters who are very, like, their storylines are super intertwined, but it was like in a previous lifetime they were a couple, but it's like, okay, they're reborn, but they're in a different category, or like they're in kind of different positions, but their souls are like always drawn to each other, kind of thing. So instead of, like, in the previous life of them kind of being a couple, it was like they were trying to kill each other. It was just like they're always just going to meet. And I feel like that's kind of how it is maybe with Juiz and Victor. And Victor just, has a thing for it because he knows, like, the conviction behind her. And on top of that, maybe, like, he's just lived so many lifetimes with her that he doesn't really care. And he's just like, it's more of like the core of Juiz's soul that matters. I don't know. It's a weird plot line. It kind of reminds me of it would make me kind of think more of kind of like the Avatar, where, like, the Avatar, like, there's like a part of I was gonna give I said there's a part, but I was gonna talk about the fandom. I don't know why I said there's a part in the fandom. One thing that has always been a very debated topic on some of the issues later on in, like, Legend of Korra. I wasn't a huge fan of Legend of Korra. I won't go into too much. But one of the things that people always kind of like make as like a cop out of, like, oh, you don't like Legend of Korra. It's always like, oh, you don't like women, or you don't like that they made her, like, hook up with Asami at the end. And to me, I was always like, I don't really care. I just thought it was poorly done, because, like, the thing is with the Avatar, I feel like with your past lives and everything, like, them hooking up, like if there's a gay Avatar, it's like, who cares? Like, it's so ingrained into their soul of, like, living these eventual future lives, and when you're reincarnated, there's like those past little tiny crumbs of other memories that kind of stick into your brain. Like, what is it, the way that they, like, find out in general, like, reincarnation stuff for, like, oh, are we gonna, who is this, which person is this the right guy? Was it, I've seen it in a couple series, like, obviously I don't know if this is how they do it in real life, but they'll have, like, items that related to them, but it's like in the back of, like, the core of their soul and stuff. If they're the reincarnation, they're gonna go for the item that is related to a past life. It's just kind of it's just one of those second nature things at that point. And I'm guessing that's kind of what it's going to be like with Victor and Juiz. It's like he's lived so many lives it doesn't really matter to him, and he sees her reborn all the time. So it's more of Juiz as the individual, and it's like after that point, he doesn't. I doubt he really cares. But The major parts of the chapter obviously had to do with him talking about how he isn't like he did not believe that they could defeat God. I also really like, just as a side note, is he could just kind of regenerate for, inside of that sphere. So whatever that sphere's regen dampening powers don't work on Victor. Because the thing about Victor is obviously he can't die. So, but his is such a higher level than Andy's. I felt like it would have made sense if he could, it's like, oh, sorry, it's a regen stopping power. You don't get this. It's like his one counter weapon. But it doesn't surprise me really that he busted out of it. It's just one of the things. They probably need a much better one to hold him rather than this one that looks like a basketball. Like if they had some giant safe with like 5 layers, sure. But also, Izumo punching Victor in the junk was pretty funny just because he fell after that point for a second. You know that regardless of regen, he's like, ow, this wasn't good at all. But further as the chapter went, I did really like the parts where he's like thinking about fighting God and the escalation of it, because some of these jumps are obviously really big. Like look at the Uma Galaxy. It literally altered the foundation of the universe and gave all these extra rules and backtracked lore and whatnot. It was really important, and yet, unfortunately, like oh man, I'm so saddened by this one because he seems so dead by it. But as we know, Izumo's unluck power has the potential to be the key factor in this. And one thing that is mentioned of why that is when she used her power on Victor at one point, it stopped being a general unluck, like of something bad's gonna happen to you, like the meteor, or a chunk of a building like breaks off that you were leaning against and you fall over or something. He said it was way more personal. It targeted the individual, which means maybe it'll work on God and whatnot. Eventually, it will be able to do some level of unluck that'll work on even this level of being. So I'm pretty hyped. I think this is in a good spot right now for the series. I definitely want to see where the story progresses. And it's really weird because we're only at 46 chapters, I want to say. And I don't think 45. I think it's 46. Where's it? 46, yeah. We're only at 46 chapters, and we're pretty far in. And, like, the series can go on. As obviously as long as the manga can think of, like, stories and stuff and, make it work. But we are getting a lot of lore early, so I'm wondering if, like, Undead Unluck isn't planned to be that long. Like, right now, if I had to guess, it'd be, like, 150 chapters, 200 chapters. Nothing kind of, like, giant, but still fairly of size. We'll see, though. Like, there's obviously, it's an unpredictable amount. Like, the series is doing well. People are enjoying it. The sales seem to be doing fine, and I'm enjoying where the manga's at, so, I mean, it's all a win. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everyone's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.